Actually, just in the past couple of years, we've had multiple manufacturers who will come to the reps and ask, hey, we're thinking about, making this variation of a component, or we're thinking about, this brand new product, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of gauge, within our customer base, do we have some target customers for that? Before the designs even started, you can know, hey, we've got 10 potential customers we previously didn't have a solution for that I think that we can introduce that to. So that I think is really cool, and it kind of makes you feel valued as a rep.
Are you ready to take your leadership skills in the manufacturing industry to the next level? Look no further. You're listening to the Leadership in Manufacturing podcast, and I'm your host, Sannah Vinding. I'm here to guide you through a journey of valuable insights, effective communication strategies, and the latest industry trends. Tune in now as we bring you exclusive insights from respected industry leaders in the supply chain, manufacturing sector, and manufacturers representative. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm your host, Sannah Vinding, and welcome to Leadership in Manufacturing podcast. This is a place where you can empower leadership excellence in the manufacturing industry. I want to introduce today's guest, Ben Kelly. He's a highly experienced sales professional with a diverse background in distribution, manufacturing, and manufacturing representative sectors. Currently serving as an outside sales representative at DM Associates. Ben brings extensive expertise in providing solutions from leading manufacturers to various markets. So, Ben, welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to hearing all your insights.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm glad. I think I'm a fan turned guest, so I'm always looking for podcasts and articles and websites and anything that can help sales. And there's not too many in our industry, and I think you're leading the charge. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I can't wait, because your background, and I just mentioned it, right? But you have the distribution, you have the manufacturing, and the manufacturing rep, and having these like the three-legged stools, to have that as your skill set and your backpack is just going to be, it's just outstanding. I think that you have all that. So let's kick it off. But I want to hear, what's your passion within the industry? Why are you in the industry?
Good question. So it's hard to believe this is my 12th year in the industry. Started out with manufacturers, and I always kind of wanted to be in sales, wanted to be in either hardware or software. Luckily got a job in hardware, and learned learned all the technical things. I'm learning all the business side of things and roles of distribution and supply chain, lead times, all that. And then, you get to see different projects and programs every day, which really, for somebody like me that has to have a lot going on, that's fantastic, because you're never bored. If you do have a day where there's a slow email, email day, you're like, what can I be doing?
Happens. Come on.
So that's the passion is, I'm just a naturally curious person, I guess. And you get to see different things every day, whether it's industrial or medical or we don't have a lot of consumer here in the Midwest, but a lot of medical and all sorts of things.
Yeah. So with your current role as a manufacturing rep, how has that put you like in advances, right? If you want to say that, what's been good now that looking a little bit back, and with your background to saying you've been in a manufacturing company, you've been in distribution, what kind of advantages do you have?
Good question. So I think, and again, a little bit biased, right? But I think I went the right direction in manufacturing, then distribution, and then being a manufacturer's rep. Being a manufacturer, I think, you learn the specific, what the core market is, what the products are, where you kind of fit in. And then you kind of go into distribution, where you're kind of a, not master of none, but you have, a giant tool bag, and you have everything at your disposal. And then being a manufacturer's rep, you have to kind of combine all that. So it's definitely, I think, the most complicated part, maybe just because you're dealing with multiple manufacturers,
Yeah.
multiple distributors. You've got multiple distributors in some of your customers here, especially if you're, you know, with MREPs, you've got a smaller territory, so
Yeah.
you kind of have to learn your customers, who they're buying from, who they have the relationship with,
Yeah.
and kind of utilize all that. And
Yeah.
I guess me being in the same area for 10, 12 years, I think I've grasped that pretty well.
That's good. No, that's good. And you must take a lot of notes. Oh, I am, but well, I am. But
I
how do you?
absolutely take a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
notes.
To remember everything, because that's how you build relationships as well. So how do you stay organized? Because again, if you have to make sure you remember that customer is buying from this distributor or what's going on in this project, and now there's a new engineer, right? How do you stay organized?
Yes, that's a good point. And until, I mean, I was still taking handwritten notes really until, I mean, like a couple years ago, I finally switched to just one note. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing. I probably went through 4 or 5 different, note taking apps and just
Yeah.
different techniques and things like that. And then I kind of just kept it simple and just start using one note. Have all my customer visits by date, and or by, if it's a top 10 customer of mine, they've got their own tab, and
Yeah.
then you go in there by date, so
Yeah.
I can go see, I've been, yesterday was my 5-year anniversary of being at DM,
Yeah.
so I can go back, 2019, 2020, and
Yeah.
just say, well, maybe not that far, but go back a couple years and say, oh, I was talking to this person. They said their redesign's actually not going to be till mid 2024.
Yeah.
Time
Let me
to
look back.
talk
Yeah.
to them. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So with all that, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be some tribal knowledge up here in your head,
Yeah.
but it's very important to stay organized and keep
Yeah.
notes and contacts, and don't burn any bridges, and all that.
No, it's a small world. So I can
Yes.
only agree because I've been digital with my notes for a couple of years now as well. And sometimes I do, not that I cheat, but then I'm like, oh, I just need to write this. Then I don't organize it in the right folder that I have. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
a day after, or maybe the next week, I'm like, oh, I know I wrote that, right? And then I'm doing my little search and then it's not showing up. And I'm like, why didn't I spend my 30 seconds extra on just being a little bit more organized? So
Yes.
even
Yeah,
though
yeah.
I
Well,
have, yeah. So do you have that kind of experience?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's still a work in progress. Absolutely. And if it's stuff before a couple years ago, I have a closet full of old
Uh-oh.
notebooks that I have to
Yeah.
go sort through as well. So I mean, because some of the customers I talked to today, I was visiting as a um, distributor sales
Yeah.
rep, or actually, I've got a couple customers today that I was working with when I was at a manufacturer as an
Yeah.
inside salesperson. So I still have, I mean, I've got notes from, 2015, 2016
Yeah.
on all legal pads that I can try to go look up.
Going back in history here.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah. So the world has changed a lot, right? How we
Yes.
pandemic, we're now after the pandemic, we are hybrid, we are remote, we are in the office. So how have your communication or relationship when you talk to customers or distributors, how have that changed over the last couple of years?
So I guess when I started well, I guess this could go for, as I started as an outside salesperson, this could go for a distributor or and a rep. Really, you
Yeah,
kind of had your Monday and Friday. Those were your office days, and those were when we would do training calls and follow ups, and get all your notes enter digitally, if you're still taking notes
yeah,
on pen and paper. Those were your catch up days, and then hey, you're expected to travel Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
yeah,
And um, yeah, COVID kind of threw a wrench into all of that, where your customers might be in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
yeah,
or Thursday, Friday, or something like that. So you have to adapt to when they're willing to see you. And I'm still a big proponent of face-to-face meetings, but if it's a brand new customer, do an introduction on Teams or make a call first, and
yeah,
get some some trust there, and then try to figure out, what days they're in the office and can you stop by.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the schedule has been flipped on its head.
Yeah.
It's get in, go see people when you can. A couple weeks ago, I just drove like 3.5 hours just to go see one person. Where
Yeah.
you know you used to, in 2019 or 2020, oh gosh, no, I have to make a day out of it. And
Yeah.
then in 2022, you were doing that because you're just happy to go see somebody. And
Yeah.
so, you kind of are continuing to do that just because, everybody's hybrid and there's still such a value to those face-to-face meetings, that you have to rearrange your schedule to make it fit the customer schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like the old fashioned where you're saying what you're doing on
No,
each day around the week. Right now you have to juggle everything because everybody has their own routine now, or habits
exactly.
of how they work. I want to ask you about the design cycles. Have that changed when you look in the last couple of years, or are we in a certain area of that just going into like new projects again? What are you seeing and hearing?
Yeah, so probably in the last, at least 6 months, we're seeing a lot of new projects come along, maybe even close to a year. Whereas a few years ago, you were seeing all your new design engineers become all sustaining people trying to find, parts to get their current product on, uh, you know, uh, out to market and,
Yeah.
keep the company in line. And even those designs, they almost were refreshes versus
Yeah.
to, hey, we're, maybe it's a new, you know marketing wise it's a new product, but really it's only got a few new features because
Yeah.
the whole COVID supply chain crisis kind of crushed a lot of the hopeful features and they got delayed till the next round. So just in the last 6-8 months, I think it's just hit where everyone finally, there's everything's on the shelf. All the new design engineers are
Yeah.
back to new designs
Yeah.
and
And they
are
got a new
focusing
budget,
on
right?
those.
Because we're like in a new
Yes,
year.
and they,
So I
yeah,
think that's what I'm
yeah,
hearing.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, but the design cycle is still long, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's some stuff that I've been working on since 2019, 2020 that,
Wow.
we're supposed to hit that
Yeah.
2022, and that's one of the features that got pushed,
Yeah.
So, hopefully in the meantime, we are, somebody was able to, or, myself, we were able to capitalize on sourcing another parts or helping in another way, well, because your program's been delayed,
Yeah.
hopefully you're getting some other kind of sales in there. But yeah, there's been multiple designs that were supposed to be 2 or 3 years that are now in year 5, just
Wow.
because the whole refresh was
Yeah.
paused.
Hopefully the product still hit, the market,
Yeah,
right?
I exactly. That's
Uh,
there's been a lot of, I mean, uh, just kind of by happenstance, I've hit like there's a lot of like medical customers that I've kind of been calling on for a while. I mean,
yeah.
that's the longest design
Yeah.
cycle.
That takes forever.
That's when you're talking, there's something I was working on in 22 and we're talking about a 2026 launch.
Yeah.
Um so those are, but again, our design cycle, think of recurring revenue. Once that hits, hopefully that product's out in the market for 6 years, 10 years plus. I know we've seen, actually, the customer I'm talking about right now, I've seen them use the same part for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, while the design cycle is long, hopefully the revenue is recurring for a long time as well.
Yeah. It's in for the long game here.
Yes.
Um, I want to talk a little bit about skill set, and we talked a little bit about communication and relationship, right? That how you're traveling and how you communicate, and you love to see of course face to face or in person. Any advice you can give, of saying this has been working for you on how to maybe I don't know up the game and how to communicate with customers.
Good question. You know what? I will take probably the opposite direction, and say, I think a lot of people my age and younger have kind of given up on phone calls.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like email. Oh, the customer won't respond. Like, oh, they
Yeah.
won't. They won't come. They won't do a lunch with me or something like that. Or I shot them a text or a LinkedIn message or something like that,
Yeah.
where someone who's still kind of newer in this industry can, uh, you just pick up the phone. I
Yeah.
mean, and yeah, I know. I mean, voicemail is not as popular as it once was, so
No,
I
no.
will just, if somebody doesn't pick up, don't leave a voicemail. Just follow it up with an email,
Yeah.
and see when request a specific time, a few minutes, and give them some specifics of what you want to talk about, because it's like, hey, I just want to talk.
Yeah.
You got to add something. Yeah, you got to have some value
And
proposition,
I
right? I
need to
mean,
know the whole history, what you played at golf, what's going on. No.
exactly. Yeah, and especially,
Ah,
we talked a little earlier about some of these, there's companies in multiple sectors like laying people off. So your customers and engineers and everybody, they have more responsibility and less time.
yeah.
So you kind of have to figure out your value,
Yeah.
and however, whether it's a quick Teams call or just an introductory phone call or lunch, whatever you can get, you have to kind of quickly assert your value to them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Before
no,
you're
time
before
time is
they're.
so valuable, right? So
It
you have
is.
to
It is.
be, you have to spend it wise, and then you have to spend it to bring that value to your customer. So they're like, yes, I will pick up that phone when Ben calls me because I know he brings
Right.
value.
Well,
Um,
exactly. And
yeah,
I mean, no matter how, important, you think that the particular project that they're working on it, maybe your part on this project is the, most expensive, or maybe it's the big headache part that you're working through a lot of design aspects of. They
yeah,
have a lot more going on than just that part,
yeah,
regardless. Even if
yeah.
you're the big fish or the small fish on the
You have
design, there's
like
a
the
lot of
bill of
other aspects.
material, right? And then it's like,
Yes.
you always
Yes,
talk about this
exactly.
one, right? Yeah.
Exactly. If you're on the top or the middle or the bottom, there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of other parts in there and things to be worked out.
Yeah. No, that's right. Um, what about I want to hear about how you learn. So because again, there's so much going on. I love YouTube. If I'm learning something new, even if it's just for this editing something in Final Cut Pro where I edit this podcast, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how do I do it? Right? YouTube, and I find somebody who can explain it to me. But that's more technical on that side. But how do you learn?
No, I mean, I kind of learn the same way by doing. Shoot, I mean, before I ever got into a technical sales field, and in college, I was taking my iPod apart and trying to upgrade the hard drive, or taking a computer
Wow.
apart and trying to or just little things like that. So I was
Yeah.
always, I couldn't always get it back together, but I was trying to learn by doing.
Yeah. The
So I
hands-on.
really think, yeah. So I mean, whether it's, yeah, I mean, YouTube, LinkedIn, anything visual I
Yeah.
like. And really, I think the best way to learn is, if you're in, my position, if you're somebody designing a product, the best way to learn is get in the beginning of that design. And even if you're not an expert uh, at the beginning of the product, you have enough knowledge base to, talk through it.
Yeah.
But if you've got a 2 or 3 year design cycle, that's when you learn that
Yeah.
product, front and
Mhm.
back, right? If it's a power supply or a connector or something like that, you know every little aspect of that. If it's a price leader or not. If it's the test, everything,
Yeah.
how the testing is against the competitors. All the documentation provided. All that. So
Yeah.
really, that I think that's the best way
Yeah.
is if you're in a position like me where you see that from the beginning,
Yeah.
is going through that cycle, and kind of staying curious and learning, not just about your part that you're trying to design in, right, but learning about the complete product and learning
Yeah.
how your product integrates into that. That's the cool part, and that kind of goes
Yeah.
back to me earlier when I said I'm just curious. So
Yeah, no, and you're lifting your head as well, right? Because that you're looking at the bigger picture here, and that I'm sure that helps as well when you work with engineers, that you're not just sitting and saying, oh, my little rabbit hole here with this component. You actually understand everything. So that's
Absolutely.
an advantage. Oh, another one I want to ask you, because I want to know about best in class. So when manufacturers introduce new product, they have to, of course, push it out to distribution. They have to push it out as well to manufacturing reps. So what's the best way, or what's best in class you've seen a manufacturer actually educating manufacturing reps?
So good question. So we actually, just in the past couple of years, we've had multiple manufacturers who will come to the reps and ask, hey, we're thinking about making this variation of a component, or we're thinking about this brand new product, right?
Yeah,
And they kind of gauge within our customer base, or with our within our region, um, do we have some target customers for that?
yeah,
And then before the designs even started, you can know, hey, we've got 10 potential customers, that
yeah.
we previously didn't have a solution for, that I think
Ah,
that we can introduce that to. So
yeah,
that I think is really cool, and it kind of makes you feel
yeah,
valued as a rep.
yeah. You're like a
And
soundboard,
then
right? You're actually a part
yes,
of the design. No, but yeah, it's another kind of value, which also I'm sure is building a stronger relationship to that manufacturer.
absolutely, yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
and once it comes out, you know, we've done, you'll the data sheets and a web profile and stuff is great, but the training, whether it's a Teams call, or I just did an in-person training last month,
yeah,
where you know here's a power supply that's best in class, so it's going to be the quietest one U module, and go through. We learn the technical aspects. Then we go
yeah.
out to the lab,
Ah,
and you get to watch this power supply under a load
yeah,
and see how quiet it is. And then you have a
yeah,
decimal meter there,
yeah.
and you kind of get to see. So
It's the
that makes it
hands-on,
all
right? Because
the
it
hands-on
gives,
again.
yeah, and it gives you like another kind of memory that you actually, it
Exactly.
sticks with you. Yeah,
Exactly. And the more, I mean, like I said, that hands-on gets you more comfortable with it, and the more comfortable you are with the product, the more likely you are to bring it up, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Nice.
I can't talk about maybe all um the temperature of the capacitor, right then and there.
No,
But if I know the features and the benefits and the market differentiator of this, and you've actually seen it, in a
yeah,
lab, that makes a difference.
yeah. No, I think that's great. I think actually the hands-on gives you just another, I don't know, observation, right? And it actually relates to you, that you can see it instead of just having like a data sheet and saying, here you go, right? This
Exactly.
is what you can.
And that's, just the past year, that is something that has started to come back, where we get to go to the manufacturer sites
Yeah,
and, learn about, do the hands-on training, do, here's what's planned in, 2024, 2025. And then, like you said, doing that soundboard where, what products are missing in our portfolio, that the reps, are out there, on the streets looking,
yeah,
seeing all this stuff. What are we missing, and
yeah.
what can we fill
Yeah, I like it. You're bringing value to the table here, so that's
in?
good. No, but it is what it is, right? There's only 24 hours per day, and
That's
and
true.
and you
Yeah.
need to be sharp on your time.
Yeah.
Um, Last question here. So, if you should give yourself an advice, like maybe 10 years ago, what would that be?
Um.
Yeah. Let's hear what you
Let's
say.
see.
That's a good question, and then no.
That is the good question.
Let's
I
okay.
would say,
Mm.
don't be afraid to ask questions. Actually, there's a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of experience. A lot of people that have been in this uh, area of manufacturing and sales for a while. There's a lot of resources out there,
Yeah,
and you know, I don't think I was really asking a lot of good questions early on, and then as I've kind of developed and you meet more and more people,
yeah,
that's when I started asking questions. So I'd absolutely tell myself, like, speak up, ask the questions, use the resources that are provided to you. Learn from others, right? And then, I would also tell myself, you will get used to the design cycle, right? because
but
the
it's
very
never the
first job.
same, right? And we just talked about it previous, right? That design cycle, it depends on the vertical, and it depends on
It's
on a lot of other stuff.
very true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Now I like it. Ask the questions. It's okay to ask it twice, I think, sometimes as well, or just be honest. I've done it where somebody is explaining and I'm like saying, I'm not getting it. You have to explain it again. And it's good, because by doing that, you're showing also with the team you're together with that it's okay to ask the questions, right? And you're just adding to your knowledge. At a certain point, you just like, oh, I should know everything, right? But you don't. Not everything. So I really like it that you're saying with the reflection, right? To ask the questions. Okay,
Absolutely.
so if some of the listener wants to reach out to you, how can they connect with you?
Well, yeah. So, I know everyone says it, right? But LinkedIn, I am always on LinkedIn, or business Facebook, it seems. LinkedIn, Ben Kelly. I've got in my banner there, I do have my cell phone number. I might not answer if you call me the first time, but text me. LinkedIn. Really, that's we Ben at DM Associates. My email's Ben at DMAssociatesLLC.com. Hey, if anyone else has exactly.
Perfect. Okay, I'll put all your connections, maybe not the phone number, but I'll put it in the show notes. And I will also put it on the episode page that you can find on leadershipinmanufacturing.com. So, Ben, thank you so much. This was exciting. I really like the note taking as well, just to hear, how your transformation has been. I think that was insightful, because it's how to stay structured as well, right? And I also really like that you're saying, right, you need to be adaptable to the whole world right now. That it's not that you're traveling on certain days. It depends, right? Everything is, you have to morph in and be sure that you actually can meet with your customers. So in person when the moment is there. But it's something there. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
If you like Leadership in Manufacturing podcast, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the show wherever you get your podcast. You can follow Sannah Vinding and Leadership in Manufacturing on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Make sure to check our website. It's called leadershipinmanufacturing.com. Stay curious, keep learning. See you next time.